And now, the For Pete's Sake podcast, hosted by Rob Blackman and Joey Mulinaro.
And with that, we welcome you to episode 2, season 2, For Pete's Sake, the official podcast for Purdue Athletics. Here we are back in our home studios here beneath Ross-Age Stadium. Rob Blackman with my broadcast partner, Joey Mulinaro, and we thank you for joining us on what's going to be a pretty exciting show, we think. This episode, it's going to be pretty football heavy, as you might expect. Coming up, Barry Odom, head coach of our football Boilermakers, he talks us through his team's prep for that season opener Friday night, September the 4th against Indiana State. And also, the big dog of Purdue Athletics, our newest big dog. We'll be joined by Tommy McClelland, the new athletic director here at Purdue. He's going to join us for a segment as well as we give us a chance. He gives us a chance to welcome himself to not only the podcast, but more importantly to our audience. So, Joey, pretty good way to, have season number 2 with 2 of the heavy hitters in the athletic department. Let me put it that way.
Yeah, we talked about how we're going to follow up into the Hall of Fame with Drew Brees, with, who else? Rod Woodson, another legend come to mind, Dan Fouts, of course. So it was going to be tough to follow up episode 1, but I think episode 2 with Tommy McClelland, Barry Odom, that's a pretty good way to follow it up.
I'm glad you brought up the Hall of Fame because we would be remiss, I think, if we didn't take one more opportunity to say thank you to those folks at the Pro Football Hall of Fame. I've been asked a few times since we have been back and the episode has aired what it was like from, friends, fans, whatever. And I've been thinking about this. I think you'll have to help me here. You still have young ones. I think it's Disney World or Disneyland. They promote themselves as the happiest place on earth. Mm-hmm. I would argue that Hall of Fame induction week in Canton is the happiest place on earth. Would you not agree?
Yeah, it's football at Disney World.
It's
football.
Yes.
Yeah, It's like my wife says that she says that everybody has their own Disney Worlds. Mine is Wrigley Field,
right,
in Wrigleyville and the surrounding area.
Sure.
Maybe it's a Mackey in February. Something like that. For a diehard football fan, Canton, especially that first weekend in August. It is football heaven. It is football Disney World.
They were so kind to us. I mean, everyone there had a smile on their face, right?
Mm-hmm.
I suppose part of it is, we have fans of every team are represented. There are thousands of fans walking the grounds. And I suppose at that point in the season, your team is still undefeated. So maybe you should be in a good mood. But from the ushers to concession workers or the folks that work the gift shop to even the police officers that were so kind to our group, right, as we didn't always have the proper parking pass. No problem. Come on, guys. We're happy to have you. It was just an awesome experience.
Yeah, it feels like, sometimes when you see maybe an NFL network or maybe, an NFL partner will do a commercial or kind of have a series where they make like their own football world. You know what I mean? All of a sudden you're planted in football world with NFL Fox or something like that. That's kind of what it felt like. Yeah, because you're walking around the parking lots, you're walking around all the buildings, everything, and there's just every single Raiders, Browns, Bears, Packers, everybody is there. And everybody isn't, you're not chirping because, like you said, games haven't started. You're not everybody just like, we're supporting our team. Yeah. We got our jerseys on. So it really was. It was an experience I'll never forget. And it's always nice, too, because, like you said, people are asking you about it. It's a good talking point when you're going to various things. Like I got my kids' school pick up and drop off that I'm going back to now here when they're starting up. And that'll be something that maybe it's like, so what are you been up to this summer? I went to the Hall of Fame. Whoa, tell me about that.
Yeah, right.
Good talking point to have in the back pocket.
And huge thanks to Drew Brees, Rod Woodson, Dan Fouts. Those 3 guys could not have been nicer with their time and giving us a chance to talk about the Boilermakers. So anyway, just wanted one more time say thank you to the good folks of the Pro Football Hall of Fame and everyone involved. And hopefully we get to do that again sometime very soon. We hope. When we come back, it is time for us to move this show along full speed ahead. We will do so with our Lafayette Limo liftoff segment here on campus. The fall sports teams are getting very busy, and we're going to tell you about them when we come back. Also, don't forget, before we are done, Barry Odom, head coach of our football Boilermakers, will join us, as will Tommy McClelland, our new director of athletics here on our Purdue campus. It's all part of For Pete's Sake, the official podcast for Purdue Athletics, brought to you by the Tom Wood Group. This is For Pete's Sake, the official podcast for Purdue Athletics, brought to you by Tom Wood Group, Rob Blackman, Joey Mulinaro. Time now for our Lafayette Limo liftoff segment. Lafayette Limo, locally a proudly woman and family-owned business in the greater Lafayette area, dedicated to serving their community with shuttles to and from Indianapolis and O'Hare airports 365 days a year. Make your reservations now at LafayetteLimo.com. Lafayette Limo, proud sponsor of Purdue Athletics. Before we lift off, I must share this with you. I was at a wedding last Saturday downtown Indianapolis, and it just so happened to be that the wedding venue, the church, was a bit of a distance from where they were holding the reception, so they hired Lafayette Limo to transport all of us back and forth.
Hey, now, how about it?
I stepped up on the front steps of the bus, and I said, Lafayette Limo, proud sponsor of For Pete's Sake.
And then you did that exact read right there. Then somebody threw a can at your head.
Well, the IU folks that were on our bus did throw things at me.
Yeah, well.
Purdue fans cheered, but
for sure.
We were in mixed
There
company.
we go. Yep.
Let's start with this. Women's soccer. Our Boilermakers are off to a great start. 3 wins, no losses, 1 tie. Coach Moody and his team, let's just say they are not offensively challenged. In their 3 wins, 7 goals in 1 win, 7 in another, and then 8 in the third win. That 8-goal game was an 8-0 win over Eastern Illinois this past Sunday. So a pretty good start, pretty great start actually for women's soccer. Not only are they winning, but they are scoring a ton of goals. I want to give a shout out, by the way, to the Purdue soccer faithful.
Yeah.
New record set at Folk Field for the Chicago State game last week. 4,111 fans showed up. That is a new Folk Field record. So attendance has been great for the home games, and why not? Purdue's exciting to watch. One quick note for this week. Thursday night, as you're watching this podcast, Thursday night against Ball State is actually going to be senior night. I know that sounds odd to have senior night early in the season, but a lot more teams are starting to do that.
Yeah, kind of flipping to get
good weather.
good. Good call.
And as we unfortunately found out during the COVID season, some didn't get to have a senior season because it got, or senior night because it got cut off early. So
true.
Anyway, senior night for our soccer Boilermakers is this Thursday night against Ball State Folk Field. I would suggest getting there early because the crowds have been outstanding, and it literally has been standing room only. Joseph, what about our volleyball Boilermakers?
Hey, how about those volleyball Boilermakers? Look forward to getting Dave Shondell back on. He was a crowd favorite, fan favorite, our favorite in season 1 of this show. The preseason number 9 in the country. So, Coach Shondell has got them rolling. 3 first-team All-Big Ten honorees return. That's Taylor Anderson, Grace Heaney, and Kenna Woolard. The season opener, neutral site. They're calling it a slugfest. A neutral site slugfest in Sioux Fall against number 13 Creighton. That's coming up on Friday, August 28th. And hey, Boilermaker fans, got to be that guy. Little fun fact, that is my 33rd birthday.
No way.
So I will be tuning in to Coach Shondell's crew on Friday evening after a nice dinner date with my wife. We polled for the Boilers, as should you, on Friday, August 28th. First home match, though, for you. This is going to be another tough one as well. Another top 10 matchup against number 8 Texas A&M. That's coming up on Tuesday, September 1st. A lot of big expectations, hopes. Looking forward to the Dave Shondell's crew this year.
That's all part of that Big Ten SEC challenge. That next night then at Mackey is Georgia, who's also one of the better teams in the country. So back-to-back. By the way, I just saw this. I think this is correct.
Is this another RB bit? This is another one that you got for me?
Well, I just thought about this. Students help me here, Corey Palm. Students get in free, by the way, to those 2 games at Mackey Arena. So
take advantage of that.
Absolutely, because that place is going to be rocking. You're playing defending national champs in Texas A&M, and you mentioned they're ranked in the top 10.
Yep.
And then you come back with Georgia the next night in Mackey, and the students get in free. Come on, man.
Yep.
Be there. Root for our Boilermakers. Make it tough.
Get on out. Yep.
Make it tough on the old opposition. Finally, men's golf, a huge shout out to Sam Easterbrook. He'll be a senior for our Boilermakers on the men's golf team this year. He is originally from England, Tomworth, England. Sounds like a cool town.
Yeah.
Never been there, but it sounds like a cool town. He was just selected to represent Britain and Ireland in the Walker Cup. Now, for those who do not know, the Walker Cup is the amateur version of the Ryder Cup. So Ryder Cup's obviously the professionals, where we all, put on our red, white, and blue and root for the USA. Sam is in what is the amateur division of that, the Walker Cup. We will, I guess, have to root for him a little bit, even though he's not representing the USA. But Sam is currently ranked 77th in the world in amateur golf. That's pretty impressive. He is just the third Purdue golf player ever to appear in the Walker Cup. 1983, Bill Hoffer, and in 1957, Joe Campbell. They played in the Walker Cup representing Purdue. So that's pretty awesome. What an honor for Sam to be able to represent Britain and Ireland, and more importantly, to be recognized as one of the top amateur players in the entire world. So congratulations, Sam Easterbrook.
Have you seen those Ryder Cups that people do on their bachelor parties now?
I have not.
Yeah, like we'll go on golf trips, a golf trip or a bachelor trip where they do golf. And
sure.
They'll break up into their own teams and have the same uniforms and really make it a competition.
Really?
Yeah, I've seen it before. Yeah,
okay.
Good time.
That actually sounds kind of cool.
Yeah. That's my bit for today. You had some bits, so I had to, get some Mulinaro tidbits in there. All right.
I like yours. I like your tidbits. We will pause for a moment. When we come back, time to talk to Tommy McClelland. He's our Forward Big Interview segment. He is the new athletic director here at Purdue. We're going to get his thoughts. Now, talk about being pretty green to the job here, at least at Purdue. You have to remember his first day on the job was just last Monday. We're taping this show on a Monday, so he's been on the job all of one whole week. But he's going to give us a few minutes to tell us what we should expect as Purdue athletics fans from our new athletic director, Tommy McClelland. He will join us next on For Pete's Sake, the official podcast for Purdue Athletics. And as we roll along on the podcast, For Pete's Sake, the official podcast for Purdue Athletics, we are pleased to welcome the new athletic director here at Purdue University. Tommy McClelland has promised he's about to join us. He is our Ford Big Interview segment. Your Central Indiana Ford dealers are proud sponsors of Purdue Athletics. Visit your local Central Indiana Ford dealer today. Now, technically, Tommy McClelland's title is Vice President and Director of Intercollegiate Athletics. To keep it simple for Joey and I, we'll just call him the new AD. Tommy, welcome. You are basically 7 days in on the job here, so the fact that I know it's a whirlwind for you, thank you that you're going to give us a few minutes here on the podcast. If I may start with this question, why Purdue?
Well, first of all, thank y'all for having me on the podcast. Really, you guys are doing great work. I saw the stuff in Canton and thought y'all did a tremendous job with that. So I'm honored to be on here. Listen, why Purdue? An incredible university, known for great academics and an athletic conference that you can do anything that you want to do and accomplish. The Big Ten. And I think when you think about the alumni base and the capacity that you have with that type of critical mass, it gives you a really good starting point to say, man, there is a lot of opportunity here. It's a place, again, it's funny, early in my career, when I started off as an AD at McNeese, I was, when you're that young, when you're starting off, you're looking for inspiration to help you kind of create who you're going to be. And John Wooden kind of became one of those. And you learn that, this is where he went to school and, National Player and the Year and all these things. And so to be able to be here and to be a part of an incredible university with great history and great opportunity, that's why Purdue.
You always hear, politicians on campaign strategy where they're talking about the first 100 days, we're going to get in and do this. So in your position, what's kind of the first 50, 100 days look like for you here at Purdue?
Yeah, it's probably very similar, right? You have to listen. What I take is just listen, learn, lead. It doesn't mean that I don't make decisions. I made some decisions already this morning, right? Mm-hmm. But in order to really make the best decision possible as we move forward, I have to understand Purdue's perspective. And it would be irresponsible for me to come in and say, this is how we do everything right now. Now, I have perspective, right? I have an outside expertise that I'm going to bring in, but I have to fold that and understand that with who Purdue is. And that's to understand what is sacred and is really important to the people of Purdue and what can be broken and rebuilt. And sometimes those are questions you have to ask. Like, is this just because we've always done it this way? Mm-hmm. And is that a good answer? Or is this a fundamental part of our DNA and who we are? And then you have to walk carefully through that as you learn who the process is. But that part of that 100 days is connecting with as many people as possible. I have to remind myself that I'm very external driven. I want to be out. I want to meet like a politician. I want to be out, right? But I've also learned that in order to build the best baseball team in the country, you've got to build it up the middle, right? So whether we're talking about Purdue Boilermakers or the Chicago Cubs, it is catcher, pitcher, shortstop, or in Mitch Daniels' opinion, it was the second base when I told him this
Right.
because he played second base, and then center field. So the point in that message is, as much as I want to get out, I have to make sure that in the building we understand who are we, and what are we doing. And so meeting with head coaches, meeting with executive staff, helping to understand it, because the sooner we can all get on the page, then the more I can understand how I can get out. Because if I forsake that level of setting, then I'm out, and then they don't know what the plan is. And so that has to be really thoughtful before we're really getting out. And I'm going to be out, and people will see me, but I have to be thoughtful about that. Being across campus, meeting the colleagues that also help run this university, it's really important. Like, we have to also understand we are a part of an institution. And although it's a very visible and very important part, it's not the only part. And I want to know and understand what our colleagues' challenges are. What are their opportunities for success? How can athletics be a partner in that? Those are the things we'll be doing over the 100 days, and assessing our programs. At the end of the day, we play games to win the games. And so ultimately we want to establish where are we hitting the mark and how can we do better, and where are we missing the mark and why.
You use baseball there as a way to give your message. Perfect segue, because I did want to talk about our head baseball coach here at Purdue, Greg Goff. You actually had a relationship with him, right? When you guys were at Louisiana Tech together.
I hired him. So my first year at Louisiana Tech, we made a baseball coaching change. Did not know Greg at all. He was at Campbell, the Camels.
The Camels,
and,
right.
Again, just go through the process, learned about him, brought him to Louisiana Tech in 2 years, flipped it, went to a regional championship. And then he left, went to Alabama, and then came here, worked for Coach Waz, and then wound up getting the job. And we've kind of continued our friendship, if you will, while we were not in an employer-employee relationship. And so being able to come here and now be a part of that, reunite with him, has been pretty cool. But
Did you lean on him, or when you were looking into this Purdue situation? Is he a guy you reached out to and said, "Hey, tell me a little bit about Purdue"?
Well, I think I'm very professional, and so I did not have conversations with him about reading the tea leaves, if you will.
Sure.
I think it will put him in a difficult position.
Yeah,
so
sure.
Certainly I had known a lot about Purdue because of him.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, I think we talked about this before.
Yeah, would you mind sharing that story with our audience?
So I have two boys. They're 16 and 15 now. My oldest is Lawson, and my youngest is Grayson. My youngest, when he was about 8 years old, he decided he wanted to be a veterinarian, which I still really wish he would do. Now he says he wants to be an athletic director. I told him, don't do that. Dogs don't have opinions, and talk back. And so, we'll see. But at that time, he wanted to be a veterinarian, and he came out of his room one day and he was like, "Hey, here are the top 4 schools that he has decided that he would think about going to school." At 8 years old.
Yeah.
It was Texas A&M, Auburn, Wisconsin, and Purdue. And so I shared that story with Greg Goff, and he started sending propaganda. He started sending baseball hats and things. And then around that same time, fast forward a couple years later, he kind of started following Purdue basketball, particularly. This is 2020, and it was Zach Edey, Jaden Ivey, and that group.
Oh, yeah.
And so I was at Vanderbilt at the time, and Greg was like, "You need to bring them to a game. Like, this is an incredible experience." And so we checked them out of school in January of 2022 on a Friday at noon in Brentwood, Tennessee, and drove straight here. And we parked, I think it was in our lot.
Yep, probably.
And walked straight up past the Boilermaker statue here,
Yep.
and went in, and Greg got me and my son Grayson, we were there for, 2 lower bowl seats, and then my wife and Lawson sat up top. Beat the brakes off of Nebraska, an incredible atmosphere. And it's a rare time in my life, like in the industry I'm in, you go to a lot of road games, but you're in an adversarial position, usually.
Sure, yeah.
And so this was a rare time where we had been to Purdue and actually pulled for Purdue because we were here to watch them.
Right.
And so that game was great. The next day we got up and Greg kind of gave us a little bit of a tour here, and then we went to the Vet Science building and kind of, stoked that fire for my son. But so it was a pretty cool moment to have the family meeting and sit down and say, hey, Dad's taking this job at Purdue, and for them to have this really incredible memory about Purdue, and we're really excited genuinely because they had been here before and had pulled for the Boilermakers.
Yeah,
cool.
they're gonna have even better seats at Mackey now, right? Yeah,
We won't have to be separated like we were
Yeah, you
before.
could probably work that out. You mentioned your time at Vanderbilt, which when the hire was made, I was very interested in that because Vanderbilt football.
Yep.
You were part of the Clark Lee hire. You're part of everything that kind of laid the groundwork for what is going on now with Vanderbilt and that kind of turnaround. How does Purdue football replicate what Vanderbilt's been doing?
Well, I think it's a multitude of things. One, you got to make sure that you have the right leader, and there's no question that Barry Odom has proven that he can win in tough leagues, and this is a second year for him, and also from Missouri in his second year was a big step forward, and even at UNLV 9 wins to 10 wins, and so I'm looking forward to a positive step forward for him. But what I would say to everyone is when you expect an outcome, you can't just project that onto one person. Like changing the nameplate on the doorpost on the door threshold to an office that's not always the answer. You have to ask yourself, we as in the administration, the university, the athletic department, are we doing everything we can for the outcome we expect? And so that's part of the task here is to say, hey, are we giving Barry all the necessary tools to be successful? I think that's the thing that happened at Vanderbilt more than anything. Every coach that they hired before that, they were happy they hired when they hired them. And they were celebrated when they were hired. And I think Vanderbilt had this moment of realization where, hey, we got to make sure that we're doing our part too. And Candace Lee is an incredible athletic director, and she's done a remarkable job down there of making sure that Clark has those resources and that they are growing together. As he's growing as a head coach, she is growing as an athletic director, and the university is growing in their support. And then what you see is a place like Vanderbilt, which I think is one of the great separators for Purdue. When you have an incredible institution like Purdue and you can get that type of degree, and then you can accomplish great things, why would you go anywhere else? So when you combine those experiences, and I think that's where, I'm excited about our opportunity here where we can build a program like Coach Painter has done in men's basketball where you can achieve incredible success at a place like Purdue and get a Purdue degree. It's a pretty special proposition.
So kind of flipping the script of people would say, it's kind of a tougher academic institution to get into and the requirements while you're there, you're flipping it and saying, yeah, but think about the next 50 years of your life.
For sure. And I would say pretty aggressively, Purdue's not for everybody. And that's a good thing. So who wants to come and do the hard things? And who wants to be a part of doing something great? Because I can assure you Vanderbilt's not for everybody. Rice is not for everybody. Yeah. But for those that it is for, it's transformational. And I'm excited about that proposition to be able to do this. And listen, in this landscape that we're in now, the market's crazy, and we've got to make sure that we're being aggressive and that we're responding to that. But when they're finally at some point, we don't know when, but at some point when this thing settles, and in essence, the benefits package, if you want to think of it that way, that exists at every place is relatively going to be similar. Then it goes back to who do you want to play for and where do you want to go to school? And that is a place that I look forward to Purdue winning in. Because we're going to have great coaches with a great degree. Now, it's my job in the interim to make sure that we're doing these benefits packages to where we can be competitive. But that's exciting to me because it's not a run-of-the-mill university.
To follow up on that, the challenges that you face as an athletic director in 2026, much different than Mike Bobinski took on 10 years ago, right? There was no NIL, there was no rev share. That is part of the college landscape now, as we know it, and probably is going to be for a long time. So the challenges for you, how do you attack those challenges to keep Purdue competitive in those spaces?
Yeah, well, again, similar to Mike, I've lived in two different universities myself. So the athletic director at McNeese and Louisiana Tech, the way that you built a program and built sustainability, and then I left and went to Vanderbilt. When I came back to Rice, it was a completely different job, and I'd only been out of the chair for 3 years. And so you have to learn to evolve and have to learn to grow with the times. At the end of the day, there are things I can guarantee you. I can guarantee you that 100 years from now, they're going to be bouncing a ball in a gym here, throwing a football on a field, hitting a baseball. That's going to happen. There will be people watching it. The way in which you deliver on that experience is going to evolve. And one of the things that we're going to talk to our staff about are these core principles that we've got to be very, very possessive about: academic learning, athletic development, leadership, life leadership. Those three things are the principles. When John Wooden decided to come to Purdue, those three things were true to him. He was going to get a great degree. He was going to play an incredible have an athletic experience and go on to do incredible things. But the way that was delivered, meaning what brought him here, I don't even know if they had scholarships when he came. At one point, there were no scholarships. And then there was athletic aid. Then there was cost of attendance. And then there was a facilities race. All these things that are on the peripheral have changed and evolved over the years. And so what we've got to do is make sure that the things that are in the peripheral we get competitive with, but that we don't make those the core issues. We use those to drag people to the core. And then when we get them to the core, then that's where you get transformational experience. And listen, at the end of the day, again, I want to make sure everybody hears me. Part of that transformational experience is winning. I mean, there is a scoreboard, and we want to make sure that people understand that we are here to compete and win. But we're going to do it with integrity. We're going to make sure that you get a degree in the process.
You mentioned a lot about the 600,000+ alumni base here at Purdue. Unfortunately, I'm not a part of that, so I can't really help you out in that way. But I'm wondering, for my friends who are in my group chats, who did go to Purdue, what does that look like in terms of that reach out with the alumni base that you mentioned so much?
Well, we've got to be intentional, and there's so many ways that we can communicate. Social media is a way of engaging with people. We've got to be modern in that aspect. I want to be accessible in that regard, but I also want to be authentic, and how I use my voice in that platform so where people can relate and understand what we're trying to do. And then where I enjoy meeting people is one-on-one, eye level. I think that you make the greatest impact when you can have a truthful conversation like we are here, where we can get to know each other, because everything in life that's accomplished is with the help of other people. No one is singularly responsible for their own success. That cannot happen. And so you need as many people pulling in the same direction as possible, but also understanding the vision and the goal. And I think that's why we've got to get back this core piece to understand what drives us, and then the how we do it can change and evolve. And we got to get sophisticated on the how, but the what is got to be something that we're real possessive of.
I'll finish with this, Tommy. You have often, when having a chance to speak to either our fans or whatever outlet concerning Purdue, you kept mentioning the fact that Purdue is a university known for innovation.
Yep.
And you keep using that word, innovation. How can the athletic department be innovative in taking that next step?
Well, there's so many ways. I think we can be innovative in areas of sports science and data analytics. I'm having a lot of conversations around that with our coaches, and I think this is an area where I think that Purdue should be leading in. But it's one where that comes with trust. Not every coach is ready for that.
Sure.
And so those that are going to experience it when they have success, then it'll be like, a little bit of like a virus. It'll spread like, oh, they're doing that. I think Coach Painter has done some of that with the aptitude testing and
Sure.
and those things. He's kind of was cutting edge on that. But like we do have to think about in every aspect, it is what we're doing the right thing and how we're doing it the right way, right? And then if that needs to be adjusted or changed, like how can we get other people in the room to say, is there a different way, a method to accomplish the same thing that makes us more efficient at what we do?
Awesome. Appreciate you.
Yeah, busy first 7 or so days on the job, so thank you for a few minutes. And if nothing else, we'll see you Friday night, September 4th at that home opener against Indiana State for football. Should be a lot of fun, and welcome to West Lafayette.
I can't wait. I'm so grateful to be here and be a part of this community. Thank you.
Were we doing the Lance dance back when? No, we were not. I was just thinking when you and your family visited for Purdue basketball, that was before the Lance dance. I would have loved if we could find some footage of you and your family doing the Lance dance, but that doesn't apply here. Thank you, Tommy.
Thank you.
Look forward to working with you here at Purdue University. When we come back, we talked a little bit about Purdue football. Head coach Barry Odom getting ready for year 2. He joins us next to talk about our Boilermakers and how they are indeed prepping for that season opener against Indiana State coming up Friday night, September 4. This is For Pete's Sake, the official podcast for Purdue Athletics. And welcome back, everyone. For Pete's Sake, the official podcast for Purdue Athletics. Again, a huge thank you to Athletic Director Tommy McClelland. Now let's talk Purdue football specifically, shall we? We were just talking about that with Coach McClelland. I think I'll call him Coach McClelland. Let's talk to Coach Barry Odom, second-year head coach of our football Boilermakers. With that, Coach Odom, second year of Purdue football. Do you feel a little bit more settled in getting ready for season number 2 than you did season number 1 this time a year ago?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the retention of really our organization and staff, more in a flow state, and then you've got your team from January until today. You actually know who they are, which has been good. Last year, we made progress in a lot of ways. It didn't result in wins. Certainly. So it was a long, hard year for everybody. I understand that. But I think the things that our program has done since the last game last year until today, we look like certainly a new team in every area, from the physical way that our guys are playing, the approach, the hunger that they've shown, and then playing complementary football. I think in all 3 areas, we've grown a lot, and I think we had a long ways to go. Still got a long ways to go, but there's been tremendous work put in, and I think the results are going to start to show.
Be remiss if I didn't ask about our previous guest that we just had on. You got Tommy McClelland, new AD. What's it been like so far? Your working relationship with him? Yeah,
I didn't know Tommy firsthand before he got the job. A number of people that have worked with him over the years that I have as well. So. Instant feedback from those folks about what a great leader he was, what a great person. And then now for 3 weeks, we've had a chance to spend a lot of time together, excited to lock arms and go get this done. His vision for what our program can be, will be, and should be are in great alignment. He believes in this place for all the great reasons that Purdue University is what it is. And we've got to get football back where it needs to be, and he's got a vision to help get that done.
All right, well, taking steps in that direction. It starts next Friday night, September 4, Indiana State in town. When we visited after spring ball this past spring, you had asked specifically the one area of the team, position-wise, you felt like had taken the biggest step forward, and that was offensive line. Still feeling that way as you get ready for that first game?
Yeah. I really like the way that they're playing together. And again, a focus area in the offseason for us was we've got to be able to establish a line of scrimmage.
Yeah.
We've got to be able to run the football. And that will open up a number of things in the throw game. But Coach Crabtree's done a great job on blending that group together. There's a number of transfers. Some guys that were here last year that he's really put in position that I think we're playing as good from a communication standpoint as a group of guys that I've seen in the way that they're operating together. And when they're all on the same page on what it takes in a run game and then in protection, we'll get better quarterback play for it. We're going to be able to score more points. All those things together, run the football, protect the quarterback. And I think, the work that we put in on attracting offensive linemen here, recruiting those guys, and then the development piece, I'm excited to get them into game-like action.
On that note, if I've been paying attention during practice, I think I have been, it sure looks like true freshman Brock Brownfield out of New Pal has seen some reps with the first and second team offensive line. As you well know, a true freshman at the Big Ten level of football on the offensive line is a bit of a rarity. But again, from what I see, and I'm no football expert, but it sure looks like he fits in. He looks the part.
He's doing a great job. Number one, his football IQ he's comes from a great program in the state of Indiana, great coaching, but he's mature. He's physically, he's 305 pounds, moves really well, great strength. But his football IQ, where I started this, was he's off the charts. He just gets it. And also he's got real hunger, like it means something to him. Yeah. He enjoys playing the game, and he'll find his way on the field. I don't know if he's going to be a starter yet or not, but he's going to play, and he's going to help us play winning ball.
Yeah.
Who are some of the new pass catchers, new faces we're going to see catching from Ryan Brown hopefully this season?
Yeah, I'm really excited about Xavier Townsend, number 3, a transfer from Iowa State. He's been very productive. I think he's dynamic with the ball in his hands. Route-wise, you think, what's he do best? And and really there's not one that we don't feel comfortable with him running, which is great. The timing for he and Ryan they've gotten on the same page, which is good. BC Owens in the last couple of days has shown up. He transferred from Penn. Bigger bodied receiver, 6'4", 225. He's got good linear speed. Excited about both of those guys. Really looking collectively of it as much as I've talked about the offensive line, I think we upgraded in a great deal in our skill positions on offense, much needed. But those guys they're becoming dependable, accountable, and then you can start to see the connection with the quarterbacks and the receivers from a timing standpoint and the body language. When you have so many reps together, and then you can look at your receivers, the quarterback, and you're already aligned on exactly what route they're going to give you. That's a great feeling, and we're getting to that point.
Speaking of the wideouts, what a huge bonus to get the Nylon Morissette, right? I mean, I thought it was very telling that you took him with you to Big Ten Media Day, because here's a guy who didn't even play a single snap last year because of injury, yet he's representing the team on Big Ten Media Day. Tells me that he's going to be a huge factor for this team.
Yeah, he has continued, even though last year on the scrimmage before the season started, the last scrimmage, he broke his ankle and had all the reason in the world to, kind of move out of the spotlight of leadership. But he stayed true to not only that, but in some dark times last year with our team, he was the vocal leader. Was proud of the work he did. He worked extremely hard to come back from that. He's been very productive. We talk a lot in our program, at least offensively. How do you play when you don't have the ball in your hands? You're getting kind of the block that springs you for a touchdown. Are you doing the extra effort, mental toughness, extra effort things? And Denilan leads kind of the category in that way. Excited about what he's going to do.
Coach, you had Drew Brees come talk to the team a couple weeks ago after his Hall of Fame induction. I was at practice on Friday. Coach Painter was out there giving a message to the fellas. What has it meant to you to be able to have those kind of resources to come and talk to the guys, and kind of what have they been able to take from it?
Amazing when you can have two Hall of Fame, former player and Hall of Famer and Coach Painter give wisdom, knowledge, and insight to our team. Because I think we always look at how you can get better, ways to do that as a program. Me as a coach, there's a growth mindset, and as soon as you lose that, you might as well pack it up and you're done. So I'm searching for things for our program, and there's not two better people to represent Purdue and to give some of our team and current organization their knowledge. And both of them, Drew has been unbelievable. Every time he's been back to campus, he has spent time with our team and our staff. He Zoomed with our quarterbacks a number of times, on some of the football mindset of what it takes to play quarterback at a high level. And then Coach Painter, he turned into football Coach Painter. This told him how it is, and it was awesome.
Yeah.
If I would have known you were at practice on Friday, you would have had to follow him up.
Please let me open for that. Don't make me follow that. I'll give you 2 minutes. That's it.
Mention quarterbacks. Mention Drew Brees. FaceTiming or Zooming with the quarterback room. I know Ryan Brown also has spent some time this past summer, this past offseason with Peyton Manning. How much of a difference have you seen Ryan Brown growth as a QB from where the season ended November last year to where now he's ready for the season opener this year?
Yeah, I think he's a different player from just the mental side of approaching things. Not only the game coming up, but his practice, his recovery, his film study, just the total package. And I think, number one, he had to go through really hard to get where he is today, to come out on the other side. And there's been some real soul searching, with him, and learning from those experiences. Also, don't let it knock you down too far, because that position you better be bold. And Ryan has earned that. He's ready to go, prepared at a high level. He's tried to get any bit of information that he can since the season last year, and we've poured into that with our quarterbacks. But I see a guy that's in a position that he's got self-confidence because he's earned it, and it's not just hey, I have to have this because I'm quarterback. He's really earned the opportunity to go lead, and I'm proud of the work he's put in.
Is there a mantra for 2026, kind of a team motto? I know
Yeah.
Fast, Smart, Tough is.
Yeah, we've got it around. I mean, if go in our indoor, we've got a banner put up there, on a mission. Our guys kind of came up with that, and I think it'll, it hits really every area of our program, and it's everybody's job, and we've all got a job to do it at a high level, and it's a great reminder for all of us that if we'll pour into it, we'll get the results we want.
Spent a lot of time talking about offense. What about defense? I know the DB room has a ton of new faces, but guys that have played at Michigan State, Michigan, they're Big Ten players, Penn State, wherever it might be. What about defensive side of football? How are you feeling?
Excited about what Coach Kane and that side have done schematically. I think our guys are playing confident and playing aggressive right now. The understanding of if we can affect the quarterback, that's going to help our pass defense more than anything. And I think we've got some guys, some pieces up front that can do that. And then, as you mentioned, the back end, secondary-wise, we're physically a longer, faster, more explosive group.
Yeah.
And the guys that we're able to get here through the portal, they actually played. It was, it's more production than potential.
Right.
And excited about that. And again, I'm going to go back to the communication piece like I did with the offensive line. The back end, if you're all on the same page, you can play good pass defense.
Sure.
And that's been a big part for us in building this structurally on what they need to do. And we've got some veteran guys back there that really, I think, are going to play well.
Last one from me, Coach. You mentioned the steps in the off season, and then the progress maybe that you're pumped about going into year 2, because we know ball didn't bounce our way in a handful of games and year 1. What were those steps? What kind of went into the off season that gives you such a positive feeling going into the second year?
I think the way that our guys worked and approached it and learned from what we went through last year, and not running away from it, but admitting and owning it and finding ways to become closer as a team and an organization. There's going to be a number of one-score games this year, one-possession games. Down in crunch time, are we close enough together to go win those? I think we were very deliberate about that. As a locker room, becoming close together, those things matter. And then the physical development on what they did in the weight room, our numbers, explosive numbers, size, strength, speed, quickness, change of direction, those things match up on a much improved team. And then I think our staff has done a nice job on getting guys in the right spots positionally that they can go play. So I'm excited. I'm excited for them to cut loose and go play. They are getting to that point now through fall camp. Class is starting today that you can feel it in the air that it's close, and they're ready to go put on their A game Friday night in Ross-Ade.
I'm getting excited.
Yeah, man.
I'm excited.
Smells in the air.
It's coming up Friday, September the 4th. Our Boilermakers, the season opener against Indiana State. I know you're excited, Coach, and thanks for giving us a couple minutes.
We got one more thing, though. I wanted to talk about the Boiler All Access.
Right? Good call. Good call. Yep.
Yeah. So we got Boiler All Access. It's kind of a behind-the-scenes look. It's kind of what going into this process.
Yeah.
What's it been like to have the cameras in your face and document everything that's going in building this?
The one thing that I'm thankful for, the joint effort in John Purdue Club and Purdue for Life on really putting this together in Purdue Athletics. But I wanted to showcase our team and our staff and organization. One way to do that, we've all seen Hard Knocks with the NFL version. Mm-hmm. So it's closely related to that. We also had to open it up, and, there's some hesitant, people and thoughts about that, but they've done a tremendous job on being there. And I've had to tell myself, you just got to act like the camera's not there, right? And the microphone's not there. And same thing for the team. And I think our team handled it in a mature fashion, and Purdue will be excited about when the first show comes out. And we'll just keep building on that and see where it goes.
Boiler Room All Access. You can find it, fans, at the Purdue Athletics YouTube page. For the moment, 3 episodes in the can, as we like to say here in the business, but there still might be more to come. So check that out. Again, Purdue Athletics YouTube page for the Boiler Room All Access, a behind-the-scenes peek to the world of Boilermaker football as our Boilermakers prepare for that season opener. Coach, good luck. We'll see you next Friday against Indiana State at Ross-Ade.
Okay, thanks, guys.
Thanks, Coach.
We will take a break. One final segment to go here on this edition of For Pete's Sake, the official podcast for Purdue Athletics, brought to you, as always, by the Tom Wood Group. And as we welcome you back, it is time for our final segment here of Episode 2, Season 2, For Pete's Sake, the official podcast for Purdue Athletics. We are hopeful you enjoyed our conversation with Barry Odom. I'd like to think that if you hadn't been already, hopefully you now are in the mood for Purdue football, which kicks off coming up next Friday, the 4th of September. Remember, that's a 7 o'clock kick with Indiana State at Ross-Age Stadium. And really nice to talk to Tommy McClelland. And I'm pretty sure we mentioned this with him. You know, he's only 1 week on the job here. So the fact that, you know, as we're taping this, he's had a whole 7 days on the job. The fact that he gave us a few minutes of his time that's pretty awesome of him, because he is a very busy guy right now.
Yeah, got a lot going on. You know, it's kind of the first 100 days of the administration, if you will.
Right.
He's coming in full steam ahead like we like here at Purdue. But super grateful for both their times. And man, Rob, I tell you, it's just a magical time on campus. It's a magical time of year when you come, you see all the students back, the buzz is there. You know, you got the football season kicking off, 2 games at home to start the season, 3 out of 4 at home to start the season.
Right.
And I'm super pumped about Coach Odom's Boilers in year 2.
I hope you are as excited as we are. I do have a note I'd like to close out with.
Please. Love Rob's notes.
Well, this one was really put a huge smile on my face. It was 2 Sundays ago, I believe. I'm walking out of church. I'm wearing my Purdue golf polo. Methodist church, by the way, we're a little more casual at times, right? So I'm in a Purdue polo, not in the full 3-piece suit.
Yeah.
And an old timer stops me and he says, "Hey, young man, are you a Purdue fan?" And I just said, "Yes, I'm a big fan," left it at that, right? No. And he says, "Well, I want to tell you, I'm a Notre Dame grad, and all my family, my kids, my parents before me, Notre Dame grads." He said, "I've been a Notre Dame football season ticket holder for longer than I can remember." So I'm thinking, this is not going to go well for me, right?
Yeah.
And he says, "I've got to tell you, I've seen All-Americans, NFL All-Pros, some of the best college football players ever come through Notre Dame Stadium. I've seen it with my own 2 eyes." He says, "But I want to tell you, the greatest player I ever saw with my own 2 eyes, live and in person, Leroy Keys."
Wow.
That's a pretty awesome compliment, right?
Joke.
Yeah, for him to
nice
stop
little
me
throwback.
and say that of all the greats he has seen, he had never seen anything like Leroy Keys.
So I'm sure then you told him about this thing we do called a podcast, and he was riveted to find out about that.
I left that part out, but I did thank him because, again, that put such a big smile on my face, kind of like I'm smiling right now, to think that here's a guy that's grown up a Notre Dame guy his whole life, and with the Irish coming in later this month, the fact that of all the greats he had ever seen, he puts Leroy Keys at the top. So, Leroy, a little bit before your and I time, we didn't actually get to see him play live and in person, but
most I get to see of Leroy is the bobblehead run, the mascot run of Ross-Ade. But Leroy brings it home a lot in that.
He's no surprise he wins a lot. Anyway, I thought our audience would enjoy that story.
Sure.
That, even a diehard Golden Domer says the greatest he had ever seen was Leroy Keys. With that, big thank you to Barry Odom, Tommy McClelland. Thanks to all those who helped us today. Brooke and Rosie always help us out big time with the social media and behind the scenes. Brad Summer helping out today as our director. We had Will Cabral working out as a technical director for us today. Corey Palm, of course, helping produce, and our executive producer is Patrick Crawford. I think I got them all, partner. I know this much. Football season is upon us.
Absolutely. Cannot wait. See you at Ross-Ade.
We will see you at Ross-Ade Friday night, September 4, Purdue and Indiana State. Thanks for joining us. Hope you've had as much fun as we have had, and we'll talk to you again very soon. This has been For Pete's Sake, the official podcast for Purdue Athletics.
Boiler up.